This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
We are ready to rock and roll. There he is, Manny Navarro in our Canes Wear Miami Hurricanes report. So did you feel the wrath of Cristobal the other day? Because I heard he was screaming at you for not writing enough and not writing fast enough or something like that, or you were fumbling around your recorder or something. I don't know, something like that. I heard he was screaming at the media, not just his players. Did he freeze on me? He froze? He froze. He frozen in time. He froze. He's just a little still. Anyway, so we will try to get it. Oh, he's back. There he is. There he is.
I was wondering what the hell happened. That was weird.
Ah, there we go. There we go. There we
Yeah.
go. All right. By the way, it looks like the Dolphins have signed a punter. As we talked about it yesterday, the Dolphins should go in the direction of a veteran punter, not a young punter. And so the Dolphins are signing Thomas Morstead to a 1-year deal. All right. So there you go. All right. Dolphins signing Morstead. So they got their veteran punter and they got a good punter. Told you they had to do that. No rookie stuff this year. All right. So I heard that Mario Cristobal was screaming at you because you were fumbling around your recorder. You weren't writing fast enough and all that. So the kids were getting ripped, and I heard the media was getting ripped too there, huh? Straightening you guys out too.
Well, listen, thankfully I avoided the ripping because I've been at home with COVID, right? So I haven't been able to go out to practice. But yes, for everything I've heard, he was hard on the kids on Thursday because they weren't going through the drills the way he wanted them to with the same type of intensity. You and I talked about this on Tuesday when I was with you. It's all about culture. It's all about implementing that culture for Mario and getting the kids to perform at a high level, as it said in my Canes Confidential. If you read that at The Athletic, you pretty much know what his priorities are this spring and the way he's trying to change the culture at Miami. And so yes, he ripped into not the media, I don't think, but certainly the players.
All right, so you just don't want to admit you were embarrassed thoroughly. That's fine. That's all right.
I mean, those messages, those are the text messages that I get from Mario. Those are the when he sends me words of motivation, as I like to call them.
Okay. All right. I heard differently there, but that's all right. I get it. You don't want to talk about that embarrassment. No, but listen, discipline has to be instilled in this team because the days of watching somebody dancing on the sidelines while you're losing, I just somehow figure that would never happen around Jimmy Johnson. And so I would imagine that that's not going to happen around Mario Cristobal. And some of that stuff at times, and we talked about this over the years, you wonder at times how much did some of these kids care? How much did it mean to them?
Right.
And the one thing you knew about Jimmy Jones or Russell Maryland or Warren Sapp or any of these cats that have played in the past, Ray Lewis, every game, every play, it meant something to those guys. That's why they celebrated the way they did, because if they lost, they were going to be just as pissed off and as boisterous as they would when they were celebrating. You know what I mean? Because that's what it meant to be a Cane. And we haven't gotten that kind of feeling from these kind of players. And I think that's what Mario wants. Mario wants you to feel it, the passion for it.
Oh, yeah.
Good or bad.
That's really what this is all about. It's instilling that mentality that you have to go 110% all the time. And it can't just be, as one player, one former Hurricane told me, there were times when players would say, hey, we can't run. We're going to run out of energy. We have to kind of like jog over to the next, drill. Mario is just not accepting any of that stuff. Like, to him, the way he remembers Kane's practices, that's what he's trying to implement here. The way he went through it, where somebody was trying to take your job every 5 minutes, and that hasn't been the case at Miami for a long time, right? Because there just hasn't been that many good players here to begin with. So he's trying to create that sense of urgency, so that these guys, when it comes to game day, right? Like all the old school Kane say, game day was the easy part. It was the practice that was the hard part.
Right. Always. You used to hear that all the freaking time.
And he's carrying it out that way. And I can tell you, go read that Kane's Confidential. You'll see some of the responses from some of the people about how, the way practices are just way different from what it was last year, and even, in the years before under Mark Richt and some of the other coaches, and how really, again, it's that culture. It's that expectation. And the most encouraging part, I think, yesterday was hearing guys like Jordan Miller, who's a 5th-year senior, say, "Oh yeah, we knew he was going to stop practice." They knew it. They knew they were letting their performance down, and it was almost as if, hey, this guy called us on our BS, and we deserved what we got. In other words, it wasn't guys feeling sorry for themselves, like, oh, he's killing us out here. We can't, It was almost as if now they understand what that standard is, and when they don't perform to that level, they know that they're going to get it. So right. You've already sort of evolved from that initial phase of getting hit in the face with something brand new and intense to, we know now what we're expected to do. And I think if you want to encapsulate this entire spring into what was meaningful, that right there is what's meaningful. The message has been delivered, it has been received, and now it's understood. And these guys know going forward, Mario doesn't care about your feelings. He's going to go into the transfer portal if you're not good enough, and he's going to find somebody else.
Good, yeah.
And that's what's happening right now. I mean, they're still shopping. He's still shopping at the market, brother. I mean, and he's not going to stop until this thing gets. And if you're a Miami fan, that's all you want to hear. As much as it might suck for some of those players, much as their feelings might be hurt, you either put up or you get out. And I think that's what's being delivered now.
And it's nice if that's the real feeling in that locker room from some of these players, that they're getting what they deserved to get chewed out. That's good, because that's very old school. That's kind of the way most of us that are my age or older grew up, that you got your ass beat by your parents and you were crying or whatever, or you were pissed. But deep down inside, you knew, yeah, I effed up, bro. I deserved that ass beat. You know what I mean? Right. It was one of those where you kind of like, yeah, I knew I was playing with fire, so I got busted and I got my ass beat. I get what's expected. Now, this is the interesting thing. And personally, I would love to see you write an article about this. The act of tough love, because Cristobal says he wants to recapture how Kane's practices were. Well, players have changed. Human beings have changed. Society has changed. And we are now talking, to go off of another conversation. I was talking with the Dolphin insiders that we have on the show, and I said, McDaniel, you can tell, has made an impression, not a difference, because we don't know if he can coach and change everything and all that. That's left. But clearly, if you see the players, it's not so much that, hey, yeah, we like the new coach. No. You can tell they're elaborating how they've connected with them. They're calling him cool. X doesn't elaborate on anything. I mean, when he answers questions, it's yes, no, maybe I might do this. Oh, yeah, I could do this. It's like really cliche-ish and really short. Yesterday or 2 days ago, he was elaborating on the guy, which is weird to even get that guy to elaborate on anything. Right. So it's like, it's amazing. So all these players are talking about it. And in today's world, maybe the Mike McDaniel works more than the Don Shula. You know what I'm saying? So what is it that Mario has to do different now than what Jimmy was doing back in the day? Because society is different. Kids are different. You can't be the same parent that I had. I cannot be with my daughter.
Right.
There's no freaking way I can do that. Most of us would go to jail or they'll take our kids away if we acted like some of our parents acted. You know what I'm saying? It's just the bottom
Yeah.
line. So I would love to know, what is that mix that he's doing? What's he pulled back from? How has he adjusted? Because he grew up old style, but he can't coach it.
Right. Well, I mean, listen, the kids have obviously changed quite a bit, but you listen to the recruits, the elite recruits, the guys who want to make it to the NFL, the 5-star kids, the Brandon Innises of the world, and some of these the ones that aren't spoiled, so to speak, the ones that aren't sitting there sort of retweeting or all the articles written about them. They're just kind of who they are, which is the guys that you want in your football program. They want to be pushed, and a lot of these recruits have been talking about, man, the intensity of practice is just on another level. Nick Saban figured out the formula, and he's old school, right? He figured out a way to do it, and Mario attended his university. He went to his coaching university,
right.
And obviously picked up on a lot of that. So I think the biggest difference is, I don't think you can just be somebody who insults the crap out of your players. You can't just insult the crap out of them and expect the kids nowadays to respond in a way that you want them to respond. I think everything has to be constructive criticism, and it has to come from a place that's from the heart. And the kids have to feel like you really care about them. And I think Mario does that. You know how he does that? Because when he recruits them, he texts them 1,000 times. And he's constantly on them. He's not just texting them because he wants them to come to his university. He's, how's it going? How's your mom? What's your uncle up to? It's caring on a deeply personal level, and that's why he's a maniac. Because most people aren't going to do that. Most millionaire coaches are not going to invest that much time and energy. They're going to want to go to the golf course. They're going to want to go somewhere else. This is Mario's life. Mario's life is 1,000% being a coach. And Nick Saban is the same way. So I think, to answer your question, I'd love to write that article because I'd love to find the exact answer. I'd like to know what the truth is. But my impression, and from covering college football and being around this for a while, I think that's what makes Saban good. And I think that's what makes Mario good, is that this is their entire life. You've seen those videos of Saban inviting kids over to his house, taking them on the boat. He incorporates them into his life. It's not just a job for that guy. And you can't say that for every coach in college football, right? You can't say that for every coach in the NFL even. Some, everybody's different, but I think the guys that completely immerse themselves the way that Mario does, I think that's how you really break through to these athletes and how you really get them to, A, want to come play for you, and B, give everything they have for you. And C is getting them to the next level. It's developing them and getting them to the next level, because that's what the kids want to see. Hey, who has he done this with before? And Manny Diaz really couldn't say that when he was the coach here.
Right.
Mario can. He can point to a bunch of different guys. They can point to Panay Sewell. They can point to now Kayvon Thibodeau. They can point to, guys that he had at Alabama, that he recruited to Alabama that are in the league. So he has a track record, and I think he gets the benefit of the doubt. And then ultimately, just his personality, the way that he is what wins these kids over and gets them to believe in him.
All right. Talk to me a little bit on recruiting wise. What are they working on now, and who are they trying to add, and who have they added?
Well, there's two fronts. There's the transfer portal front, and then obviously there's the 2023 front. But from the portal front, there are a couple guys that have been that are down here this week on visits. One of them is an FCS All-American defensive end, kid named DJ Coleman. And then you have the West Virginia kid who I mentioned on the show last time, Akeem Mesidor. Miami is I mentioned to you multiple times now, even when I was at Disney. Defensive line, offensive line, linebacker. They're going after those kind of kids. So from that perspective, they're continuing to do that. There was even a kicker on on supposedly visiting here this week, a kid out of USC who was a kicker. So I don't know if they're trying to push Andre Borregales even more to do a better job. But again, this is what I'm talking about. Mario doesn't care about your feelings. He's about getting the job done and executing and winning. So, and then as far as a high school perspective, they had the Rashada kid, the quarterback out of California that was on campus recently. I think the most interesting development is Cedric Baxter, who's the number 2 running back in the country, a kid out of Orlando. I think he's 6'2", 215, talented running back. He came back and visited Miami, I guess, this week with his parents. And so, Mario he's had a lot of elite kids on campus since practice started. Feels like there's 5 or 6 elite kids on campus every single day. But the Cedric Baxter kid, the fact that he came back with his parents, I think is a really good sign. And he's the number 2 running back in the country. I don't think I need to say much more than that. They've already got the Trevante Citizen kid coming in. They want to run the football. And between offensive linemen and elite running backs, he's certainly making that push in the recruiting trail.
You should always want to run the football, bro. It's amazing how much better your offense is going to be when you can punish people with the run, man. And that's what I think you're seeing with the Dolphins too in Coral Gables. I mean, from Coral Gables to Miami Gardens, I think you're seeing the same thing. They're getting a coaching staff that's understanding the importance of running that damn football. And if you don't run that football, bro, you're going to serve up your quarterback to get nailed a bunch of times, and you just can't do that. You got to get those linebackers on their heels constantly. You got them on their toes attacking your ass. You're just waiting for a moment for somebody to take out Tyler Van Dyke. Why? Because you're dead set on having him drop back 55 times. Bro, that's crazy, man. You just can't do those things. And I get it in today's explosive game, but man, if you can run the ball, look at Alabama. They're constantly running the ball, man. That doesn't ever change for them.
No, and when you go back to this year's national championship game, when Georgia needed to run the football,
right,
they ran the football. They won the championship because they could run the football when they needed to kind of keep Alabama's offense off the field and give their defense. And think about that. Think about how much better Miami's defense might have been the last couple of seasons if they could run the football. But the numbers have been pretty abysmal. And that's why, I sit here, and even on my podcast, I've told people multiple times, like, from a roster perspective, this thing is still not. You have some positions that I think have some really good players. I like some of the kids that are on this team, but you're still a ways away at certain positions.
Of course,
being a championship level team.
Come on, man. Of course, it's only one off season the man's been here. He hasn't even coached the season yet.
Yep.
He still has to go through a whole season so he can really figure out his team. Because he's really not, he can have an idea, but until he watches his players in those key moments and see who can be what in those key moments, he's not really going to know what he has in those guys. So, yeah, I'm with you 1,000%. Follow him on Twitter, by the way, at Manny_Navarro. What are you working on The Athletic so folks can check you out and subscribe, my friends?
Yeah, well, I mean, now that I'm kind of feeling better, I haven't. I had 2 days there where I was a little, run down. I'm back to work. I'm putting together a couple Kane stories. I have that Wayward program. I don't know if you saw that series, but it's on the Athletic website now. I think the first 2 articles were on West Virginia and Arkansas and kind of how those programs lost their way, and what they have to do to get back. But we have a whole series of you're a college football fan, there's going to be some good stories in there. I'm teaming up with Chris Vanini to do the USF story. He actually caught up with Jim Levitt yesterday. Really good interview with him, and adding it with the stuff that I got from the current coach and athletic director, and the whole push over there to build a stadium, etc. So to me, when you subscribe to The Athletic, you're not just subscribing to read about the Hurricanes, you're subscribing to read about college football, because we have the best college football staff in the country. We have so many great writers that do so many great pieces. We've written so much stuff about NIL and these initiatives at each of these schools to raise money so that they can get recruits. So if you really want to know what's going on in college football from a national perspective, which is where you hope the Hurricanes are again, not just that team in the Coastal, but a team that's pushing for a national championship, you're going to want to sign up for The Athletic and read those articles, because it gives you some great perspective, national perspective, regional perspective of where things are going. And there'll be a lot of those articles. I got a mock draft that I got going with a couple of other college football writers. I got the first pick for the Jaguars. I think I got the 4th pick too that I got to do. But you're getting information from legitimate reporters all over the country, national guys who know what they're talking about.
All right, good stuff there. And please subscribe to The Athletic. It's super cheap, by the way. It's also a joke, too.
It's $1 right now, man.
Yeah, come on. It's a joke. subscribe to The Athletic, and follow my man Manny on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Manny, as always, appreciate you, man. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll catch up next week, my friend.
All right, I'll take care, brother.
You got it. Thank you. There you go. The great Manny Navarro. All right. So